Thanks for joining us with the Junk Connoisseurs. You're here with Alan, Jordan, and me, Alex. As always, be sure to like and subscribe and all the stuff, and send us an email at junkconnoisseur@gmail.com or message us on Facebook at the Junk Connoisseurs page, like a gentleman named Ben did. He did it a little while back, but we're a little ahead on recording episodes. Ben also, independent of Jordan, found our V8 manual transmission front-wheel drive car in the Lancia Thema, or Lancia Thema, I don't know how it's pronounced. And,
Murcielago.
And he shared some information with us and a neat video and an article and that kind of stuff. So, hey, thank you, Ben. We wanted to give a shout-out on that, even though it was an episode or two back, I think.
Yeah.
Or the one that launched the day before we're recording this podcast, so I think it's about 3 episodes back. But thanks for sending that in, because if we had not found that, we would have been quite tickled that somebody did.
It's the podcast that launched 1,000 angry emails.
Man.
Except it's not. It launched one, like, hey, I found one email. Alex cuts out all the diatribes. Like, seriously. He makes me sound almost pleasant.
Hey, and since we recorded our last episode, Jordan's been on a little adventure. So, how'd that go?
No, the trip was great. We started the journey having acquired 4 scootery type items with the intent to ride them on some 2-lane fire road situations, and we ended up in stuff that was a little less well kept than that at times, and that was fun. But the crew showed up here at the house on Monday because we were driving to Arkansas, and I was a reasonable good stop on the way. And that evening, you two joined us on acquiring a 5th scooter, a lovely 50cc piece from about 25 miles away from my house at 8 p.m. on the night before our journey.
That didn't run.
It did not run. It had one of the most destroyed wiring harnesses I've seen in any vehicle in quite a while, especially one that's only 3 years old.
It's only 3 years old?
Yeah.
Holy cow, I thought that was like mid-aughts.
No.
Wow.
No,
that was haggard.
Yeah, it has a VIN tag on it, and it said 2021.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Boy.
Yeah. But by the time we went to bed on Monday night at around midnight, the scooter had fired up and was running, and was a $24 Amazon carburetor, which we could not get away from being actually pretty good. So we continued to fiddle with the carburetor, Robbie did, and eventually it actually ran pretty well.
That's excellent.
Yeah. So we went 4 scooters in. We went 2 down because 2 broke and 1 up, so 3 overall.
Okay, which one's broke?
The trail broke.
Oh,
7 miles from we had finished for the day and we were driving back to the campsite, and it just gave up the ghost. I think possibly the clutch mechanism had locked up and had some portion that sheared off and was maybe making contact with the case. Because it would idle okay.
But as soon as you tried to...
Yeah.
Yeah. So it idles with the clutch out, and then...
Well, it's a
centrifugal clutch.
Centrifugal clutch. So you put it in gear, and it immediately just chugs way down and tries to die. Also, my crappy Amazon carburetor appeared to have the float bowl stick, so there was a lot of gas in the crankcase. But it needs rings anyway, so...
Now it needs bearings.
Maybe.
Gas is a shitty lubricant.
It is a very shitty lubricant.
It's mostly a solvent.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens with that. And then Robbie's El Scutero, 150cc. Well,
Boyd.
Yeah, that bike was a piece of crap before he got it. Somebody had loaded it up with all sorts of B29 bomber-esque gear and plastic machine guns and whatnot.
Skulls.
So that one died on the first day. Just driving down the trail, engine locked hard.
So did you have to ride Robbie double on the Trail 90 since you had
No.
the next highest
Dumb and
displacement?
Dumber style.
No, the
Just go, man.
trail
Just go.
the Trail 90 was already feeling some wear and tear on day one. So he hopped on the back of the Zuma that Dan had. So 50cc two-stroke, but it was between that and the Honda Ruckus that was borrowed for this journey. Those two were just perfect. So, yeah, the Zuma also towed the Trail 90 back to the campsite.
7 miles?
7 miles.
That must have been fun.
It was terrifying.
Wow.
Yeah, towing a motorcycle, even a small one, not a fun experience.
You did say it was the Big Dumb Tour.
It was.
It's living up to its name.
Yeah,
So
it was great fun though.
So you're saying the two Japanese scooters left unscathed, and well, 2 of 3 left unscathed, and then 2 of them that were Chinese knockoffs didn't do so well, or
Well, so like the Trail 90 is an original
yep, that is
Japanese piece, but it's also 45 years old and was sitting for a long time before the three of us went and picked it up.
Right.
So,
I'm honestly a little surprised. I'm not surprised you had problems with it, given the fact that it had been sitting for a long time. But it will live again, right?
yes.
Yeah,
El Scutero will not.
yeah. And what was that?
That it was just a generic
Yeah.
like Vespa copy.
Right.
It had that weird
Flat green.
yeah, it was flat green,
Yeah.
but it had that weird like double A-arm front suspension that some scooters have with a spring shock package on each side of the front wheel.
Oh, yeah.
Honda used it on some of theirs in the 80s and 90s. So it didn't have telescoping forks, so it rode really weird.
It's like,
Until
it's like, why would you do the thing that works? Because this looks cool.
Does it?
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway,
Kind of.
yeah, so that one died. The Chinese 50cc scooter actually,
did fine.
it did great
Okay,
once it was
cool.
sorted out. So,
Yeah.
no.
He rode it home to Indiana.
It,
He'll get there in a couple weeks.
it did go in the back of the truck with the broken 150 to Chicago. So now, if anybody in the Chicago area would like to purchase a screaming deal of 3 scooters for $600, I believe that is what Robbie is trying to sell those for.
Nice.
So
And the Zuma?
no,
What's the third one?
The El Scutero came with a Honda Elite 150 that didn't
Oh.
have a title and was also broken, which is like that's a direct. I think that's a direct copy
Yeah.
of Anyway, so yeah, you can get 3 really crappy scooters in Chicagoland.
Good times.
Yeah,
Bad decisions make for great stories.
yeah, it was a great trip.
Yeah.
Super fun.
Excellent. Good weather and all that.
Yeah, no, the weather was excellent. Yeah,
October in Arkansas.
yeah, it's very pretty. Yeah, all the trees were turning. Yeah, leaf tour.
Garrison Keeler over here.
Leaf
Tell me
tourism.
about the apple-cheeked children in Fayetteville. And
I don't know. Yeah, the Bentonville area is nice.
it's nice enough.
You know,
It's
got a-
expanding way too quickly,
Yes.
but it's neat.
Yeah, we went and did some mountain biking the first day there. But anywho,
Well, what are we going to talk about tonight, Alan?
It's Jordan's turn.
Nope.
No, it is not.
Okay. I also
because
walked in
otherwise
my notes.
this episode has come to a conclusion.
Good night, folks. All right. So we'll start off with the triangles. This the Junk Connoisseurs trifecta of sadness. This goes 0 for 3.
No Iron Duke. No Colin Chapman.
It is not a thing that Chrysler did first. Doesn't mean that this isn't a Chrysler, though. They just would have had to done it second.
I will tell you, it is not a Chrysler.
Not a Chrysler. Got it.
Alex has never heard of this car. He will be clueless the entire time.
What? So it's not a Chrysler, and Alex hasn't heard of it. I thought those.
We didn't see that coming.
Yeah.
It runs a steady 0.5 out of 3 on the Alex's awesome trifecta.
So the only automatic it came was the only manual it came with did not have a clutch.
He's really good at this.
Well, that's the only one that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it had a pre-selector or some such nonsense.
Sort of. Yeah. Technically, it had a clutch and a torque converter. This one's weird, guys.
So is this... now, I was going to say, you just answered the question I'm about to ask. Is this new or old? But I'm thinking old.
It is
based
old.
on the torque converter and clutch.
It was never the Motor Trend car of the year, but that was because at the time, Motor Trend only did domestic cars for car of the year.
Okay, so
it was Car Magazine in England. It was their car of the year.
Oh, boy.
I don't have to guess
So,
too hard. You've already told me. I don't
front-wheel
even know what
drive,
it is.
not V8, did not have a real automatic. So it's not a smart car because those were rear-wheel drive.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be 1.5 on the...
And also that's...
Way newer than
Yeah,
this.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, it's
So
pretty
obviously, it's a carbureted vehicle.
Exclusively carbureted.
Yes.
It was an 11-year model run.
11. Was it sold in the United States at all?
Yes.
Oh.
But they are not common here. They're not common there either. Total production over 11 years was right at 40,000.
Oh, boy. This one's going to be a struggle, I think.
You'll get it eventually. Alex is going to be, what is that? And you're going to have to bring up a picture. And he's going to be like, I am not interested. Good night.
Is this some sort of micro car for Europe?
It is not a micro car, but it is for Europe.
Okay.
Is it a car?
It is a car.
Okay, so it's not some sort of, like, people mover or package delivery van.
One body style, exclusively built as a four-door sedan.
Four-door sedan.
How many wheels does it have?
4.
4 wheels.
Well, because
Just guessing random stuff that'll get me nowhere.
Yeah. I mean, the Reliant Robin, but that's a rear-wheel drive car.
Yeah.
Came with a manual transmission,
Probably
so
only
not
one
that.
or 2 doors.
Also, yes,
But-
two or 3 doors if you're one of
Get a
those people.
van,
That,
yeah.
How many strokes were in the cycle of the engine?
That's a good question.
Not sure.
Somewhere between 1 and 7. I don't know.
We'll average it out at 3.
Well, it is not a 2-stroke.
Okay.
I'll put it that way.
Oil injection, or so it's
But it did have oil injection.
so it's it's a rotary, isn't it?
It is a rotary.
Oh, this is whatever Felix Wankel.
It is Felix Wankel's brainchild.
Yeah.
But do you know what it is?
Not immediately off the top of my head.
Alex, if you get this, I'm going to be astounded.
Is it the Wankel?
That's the engine.
No, is it the make a Wankel, comma Felix?
No, it's a NSU.
You got the make.
Yeah.
String of garbage numbers and red letters. Come on, it's not.
Yeah, RS 750. I don't know. Just tell me.
It's an NSU RO80.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
No, I was definitely not going to get that part. But
Yeah.
yeah.
The letter O80?
RO80.
Okay. Okay.
Pull up a picture. Alex will look
to
at
the
it and then he'll
Googles.
check out.
All right. Pull over onto the shoulder and get out your
Google it.
Googler device. And while somebody pulls it up for me to look at.
It just looks like a generic sedan from Europe in the 60s.
Yeah.
I mean, it was pretty
Jensen.
space age styling at the time.
But I mean, when you're
yeah.
comparing it to the things that Citroen were putting out,
It did have the lowest coefficient of drag of any production
Oh,
vehicle when they built it.
yeah, it looks super slick.
Yeah.
Really funny, though, that they then shoved a rotary engine, which is notoriously inefficient.
In a way, we'll get to it.
When was it?
1967 was the production.
So nobody cared about fuel economy at that point.
Not really, and that was part of the problem. But we'll get. I mean, they cared about it a little more in Europe than they did here.
Right.
But this was a luxury car, and anyway, so we'll start with the model history. So NSU is a German company that was, I believe, a consortium of several companies that merged between World War I and World War II, and then a couple others that merged in after World War II, and it was kind of a conglomerate that built, for a while, they were the largest motorcycle producer in Europe, actually, in the 50s. They built a lot of motorcycles. They built some microcars. They built small stuff that tended to sell in Germany after World War II, when Germany had no money and also not a ton of access to oil. But
So once again, rotary engine.
we're getting there, man. So in 1951, NSU hires an engineer by the name of Dr. Felix Wankel, who at the time is just some guy. Everybody who worked with him referred to him as a brilliant engineer, but they said his last name was misspelled by one letter. He was just kind of a crotchety old bastard, but he was smart as hell. He's got some interesting ideas, and he had a patent on a supercharger that was sort of, it worked like a modern rotary engine does, in that it had a trochoid rotor that spun to compress things. And NSU put that on a couple of racing bikes, as I understand it, in the early 50s. And Felix was like, I can make an engine out of this. And they're like, all right, you haven't led us astray so far. So in 1954, they gave him sort of a development deal. And they agreed to bankroll him developing a rotary engine, and what became the Wankel rotary engine. First test mule ran in 1957. By the end of the year, they had a 250cc rotary engine, making 29 horsepower at 17,000 RPM, and redlining at 25,000 RPM.
Okay.
This was too fast for 50s metallurgy. Yeah. This is a continuing theme in the development of the rotary engine. Is great idea, but the alloys just couldn't keep up with it to do what they wanted it to do.
Before we move past that, that sounds awesome. And how
Doesn't
do I
it?
get a motorcycle with that on
They
it?
made a couple.
Yeah.
Their test mules were, I mean, imagine a 15,000 RPM, 30 horsepower motorcycle. I mean, it's like the Ninja 250 50 years before it was the Ninja 250,
right,
you know?
Right.
They continued to refine the engine, and they started licensing production while it was still in development to a bunch of other companies, because other companies were stoked about this. At one point in the late 60s, GM had basically decided everything they were going to build after 1975 was going to have a rotary engine. They didn't.
Because of a fuel.
Thank God. but they were
crisis.
all in on it.
Yeah. I remember seeing I think it was a Corvette.
They had a rotary vet.
Four-rotor
Yep.
concept. Like, I bet that thing sounded ridiculous.
So they continued to refine the engine, license production to a bunch of other countries, and eventually, in 1964, they entered into a joint venture with another company to jointly produce the motor that would go into the Row 80. We'll get to that other company in a second. So the car was launched in October of 1967. It was the third commercial application of the rotary engine in a car. NSU had built a one-rotor sports car called the Spider in 1963, but they only built about 2,500 of them over 4 years. And then Mazda licensed the rotary engine in the mid-60s and beat NSU to market with the Cosmo by about 4 months. So the original Mazda Cosmo came out earlier in 67. But in October of 67, they launched the Row 80. And details on it. Initial response was universal praise. The car drove well. It was fast enough. It was a near luxury kind of ride. It was really smooth, and the futuristic design kept people talking about it. They weren't terribly expensive in Germany at launch. They were about $3,550 American. I don't know what that is in Deutschmarks, but it's basically $30,000 today. They were a little more expensive than a Mercedes 230 or an Opel Commodore, but it was supposed to be kind of cutting edge, kind of avant-garde. Importing it into America was stupid expensive. You could buy one in the U.S., and a few people did, but they cost $6,000, which is equivalent to $50,000 today.
It's quite a sizable increase.
So they were only offered in one layout. It was a front-engine, front-wheel drive, unibody four-door sedan, about the same footprint as a first-gen Ford Taurus. 15 and a half feet long, 9-foot wheelbase, 2,800-pound curb weight, which very similar to any other near-luxury car in the late 60s in Europe. Transmission was a 3-speed manual with an automatic clutch operated by vacuum, not hydraulics. No Citroen hydraulics noise here. There was no clutch pedal, but you would put pressure on the gear lever and the clutch would disengage. There was a micro switch that any pressure on the gear lever, forward, back, left, right, would disengage the clutch. Okay. Also present behind the clutch was a torque converter. which helped smooth the kind of snatchy power delivery of the early rotary, and well as multiply torque off the line, which rotaries have never had. Okay. So it kind of helped, the torque multiplication kind of helped bump up the oomph off the bottom.
I'm not hating what I'm hearing here. This is weird.
It's neat. It's really weird, but it's neat.
Yeah.
Suspension was all independent. McPherson struts up front, which were very state-of-the-art for 1967. Trailing arms in the back. Power rack and pinion steering. Four-wheel Dunlop discs. Inboard at the front. Is this starting to sound like any other stuff we've done?
A little bit.
Mm-hmm. Tires 14x5 were in 175 60/14 Michelin radials. The engine was a joint venture between NSU and, well, who else is going to sign off on a super futuristic family sedan with a semi-automatic transmission and space-age styling? Out. Anybody?
I was going to say Citroen.
Oh. In 1964, Citroen and NSU created a joint venture called Comotor. The idea here was that because road tax in Europe is almost always based on displacement,
Okay.
and because per its displacement, the rotary engine makes fantastic power, they thought they'd have a wave of the future making powerful small displacement cars that would have a tax advantage over piston engines. So, for instance, the engine in the Row 80 was a 997cc two-rotor Wankel. Weighed 225 pounds, all up and ready to run. Everything on it. Twin Solex carbs, fed it at 9-to-1 compression. It made 113 horsepower and about 117 pound-feet at torque at 4,500 RPM. These vary 5 or 6 horsepower and pound-feet either way, depending on year and emissions gear, where they were building them from.
Right.
There was a similar design single rotor that went into the Citroen M35, which was a test mule for them for their Citroen Ami, which was supposed to replace the 2CV and never did. They built about 300 of those, and then they built the GS with a two-rotor version, and they only built 850 of those. Citroen got out of the joint venture in 1973 because of the oil crisis and rising fuel prices, but between 1974 and 78, a Dutch guy with the best name ever, Henk van Veen, built 38 motorcycles powered by a twin rotor. So yeah, find Henk. He'll get you your motorcycle, okay?
Yeah. But not the same engine that was in these cars is 225 pound.
Similar. The 225 pounds is car alternator and car exhaust manifold and all that.
Okay.
I mean, I'm sure you could. It was probably pretty heavy, but at the same time, in 1974, there weren't a lot of 115 horsepower motorcycles. Fair?
No, I would think
that was
none.
I mean, the Z1, and I mean,
When did the Vincent something?
the Black Shadow.
Yeah.
that never made that much, and that was like the early '60s, I think.
Yeah,
I mean,
but I bet also like on a bike you don't necessarily need the torque converter, so there's a chunk of metal.
probably have
that
a
you're
bike
not gonna
transmission
need.
instead of this big
Yeah, no,
3-speed automated manual.
So it was the same basic displacement and
Yeah,
horsepower
one
engine.
liter,
Wow.
two rotor.
So aside from some reliability issues,
You don't say.
which we'll get to the reliability issues in a moment, the downsides included frequent maintenance because they tended to load up and get a lot of carbon deposits in city driving. Spark plugs only last about 5,000 miles, and they cost 10 times what plugs did for a standard car. And even in the 60s, 5,000 miles was a really short interval for spark plugs.
Yeah,
I mean, you'd expect to get 10 or 15 out, even if something wasn't quite right,
Yeah.
The engines were also super picky about getting equal fuel delivery, and that means that you had to keep those carbs synced perfectly, or else you got a ton of flat spots. They weren't especially torquey; they were rotary, but they were very snappy at high RPMs, and this transmission was only a 3-speed. So it was turning a ton of RPMs at high speeds, but it would do it. It would cruise 95 miles an hour all day long. And that's what NSU built it for. But then a bunch of people bought it and drove it around the cities at low RPMs and fouled things up. And apparently these rotaries, because of their port design, the Italian tune-up doesn't work. So you can't just take it out and beat on it. and blow the carbon out. So they had a lot
Doesn't
of
like
issues.
being driven slow. You can't fix it by driving fast. Sounds bad.
In 1970, they got electronic ignition and a simplified and more reliable apex seal setup and better oiling at high RPM, which fixed two of the serious reliability beefs that were an issue earlier and would eventually be this car's downfall. And in 1973, they replaced the twin one-barrel carbs with a single two-barrel Solex, and they also got a thermal reactor for emissions purposes, but they didn't really lose any power. So what'll she do? 0 to 60, 13.3 seconds. Top speed of 112. So not all that impressive, but period road tests, and I read a couple of them, they're out there, praised it for great comfort and day-to-day ride and handling, exceptional composure on the highway, and the ability to cruise between 90 and 100 all day long, which in 1967 was rare for something that you could just sit there at 90 miles an hour and just chug along.
Where would you do that? In Germany. The Autobahn was, well, I guess by that point the Autobahn was being constructed.
The Autobahn was constructed in the 30s.
But then it got blown up a lot.
Well, it was rebuilt.
Okay.
It was
just, I guess I was forgetting that this was 1967 and not because this
right.
conversation
I started my
in
story
50s.
in the early 50s.
Yeah.
But this is, by now it's the late 60s. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. Now, time has caught up with me. That makes more sense now.
It gets us all.
But then I would expect there were a lot of places in Europe where you didn't get to drive big open roads.
And that was kind of the issue.
Right.
Everybody remarked on how smooth it was, as you would expect from something with no reciprocating parts. And after the first few years, they were fitted with a warning buzzer at 6,500 RPM a la Mazda because people just over-revved the loving crap out of them because they would continue to rev, but the oiling was not good enough on the eccentric shaft bearings at super high RPM.
Brought to you by WD-39. Almost as good as WD-40, but it costs a lot less.
So what killed it? Well, two things. First was thirst. Fuel economy averaging 18 miles per gallon for a near luxury car was not really a problem in 1967. But in 1973, we got the oil crisis. And in the 70s, European cars were starting to take leaps and bounds forward in terms of being much, much more able to do long stretches at high speeds without being mechanically stressed. Things like overdrive, lower final drive ratios, these were really coming into their own. And as a result, a lot of cars were starting to get in the high 20s, low 30s. And as expensive as gas is over there, it really made sense for people to say, well, I could buy this car, which is awesome, and we'll do all these things, but it's going to cost me an extra $40 a week to keep gas in it. And even at near luxury levels, that's kind of something people don't want to really pony up for. The other thing that killed it off were apex seals, which have been the biggest problem with rotary engines since time immemorial, on up through 2011 when Mazda killed off the Renesas. Metallurgy just wasn't ready for this design. Some would argue it still isn't. If it wasn't carefully maintained, carbon buildup would lead to seal failure in as little as 15,000 miles.
Wow.
Tip seals, apex seals, also the eccentric shaft bearings, which were only a problem in this rotary. Mazda figured that out largely because they watched what happened with NSU. People just thought it would take it because it was so smooth, so they'd rev it to $7,000 and just keep it there, and that can't be done. NSU had a very generous warranty policy. Their warranty was only for 20,000 miles, but they would replace an engine, no questions asked, if it failed in that time period. And then they would warranty the replacement engine for 20,000 miles. Rinse and repeat. Some of these had their engine replaced under the factory warranty as many as 9 times.
That's a lot.
It really is. At some point, you've got to say no mas.
After the
9.
5th or 6th engine,
like,
I'm like, I don't know. I think it might be you.
I think you're maybe not maintaining it right, Klaus.
Yeah. You just get her up to 19,000 miles and then load a bunch of gravel into the intake and
so
off you go.
The irony here is that by 1972, the reliability issues had largely been solved. And that was only halfway through the production run. But by that point, the perception was that these were unreliable. And NSU continued to replace engines for people, so they'd be like, it's on its 4th engine.
But they didn't just say, we'll put Roman numerals at the end.
The
Call it
NSU
the
RO80.
RO8OII.
Yeah. 8011.
I-I-I-V-V-V-I.
So the other great irony here is that after they were out of warranty and the rotary blew up and they were still pretty expensive to replace, a lot of people replaced them with the only other thing aside from a Porsche Flat 6 that used this Saxomat transmission, which was the V4 out of a Ford Taunus, which was the roughest running engine in history because a V4 is terribly balanced.
Okay.
So they shook like a paint mixer, but they kept running. And, they were down 30 horsepower compared to the rotary, but they kept running. So the debacle with the engines in the RO80, by 1970, NSU was losing money hand over fist. And this was supposed to be a range topper. They had also developed a smaller car that they couldn't afford to market because they weren't making enough money on the Row 80. So they sought outside financing. And what happened was the head of the Volkswagen Group at the time admired NSU, but NSU wanted to stay independent and they didn't want to be under Volkswagen's thumb. So he basically arranged some sort of backdoor merger between NSU and Audi, which was part of the Volkswagen Group but allowed a modicum of independence. NSU got access to better financing and, the much broader engineering department of Volkswagen. And Volkswagen got this neat range topper that tech people still loved. Car guys are still like, just give it a chance. It's still awesome. So the reason all this kind of matters was that in 1970, NSU released their smaller car, which was called the K70, as a Volkswagen. And it was a moderate sales success. They sold a couple 100,000 over 4 years. But this was Volkswagen's first front-engine car. This got them away from it was also their first water-cooled car.
Okay.
This was essentially the proto-Golf.
Okay.
And that was what, NSU's design trickling down into the Golf, the Scirocco, and the Jetta essentially paved the way for them to become the second biggest automaker in the world over time. The upshot is that if NSU hadn't taken this big swing and missed, Volkswagen might have died off with the Beetle. We don't know. But it's kind of neat.
Huh.
And in 1977, they were only making about 1,000 RO80s a year by that time. Row 80, RO80, I've heard both.
Right.
So they killed it off and used its factory to start producing the 924, which is at best a lateral move. So
I like the 924 better, but you know why.
I mean, yes, it was rear-wheel drive with the
Yes.
engine from a van. But it was rear-wheel drive.
An engine that later went into the U.S. Postal Jeep.
I guess it did.
Not
You're
forget.
not wrong. So, a rotary butterfly flaps its wings in West Germany, and suddenly, and that leads to the Grumman LLV eventually because the engines kept dying in the DJs. So what do they cost now, you ask?
Oh,
Well, you don't.
I didn't,
But they're around.
but I am curious now that you've mentioned it.
So Hagerty says a number one, a Concours car is worth about $39.
So a Concours version of this is worth exactly what it was in today's dollars.
A little less,
new.
actually.
Oh.
It's about 50 new. It's about 40 now.
Oh, see. Oh,
Yeah.
the American version,
Yeah.
of course. Yes. Yeah.
A number 4 driver is worth about $5,500.
There are none of those.
There are none.
Yeah.
I went on Bring a Trailer. They have sold one in the entire time they've been around. They pop up a lot. They don't pop up a lot, but there's a dedicated network in England and Germany, basically, of guys who keep them driving. There's a few hundred still on the road out there, and there are other people who are resurrecting them, who've got projects. Guys will swap in a V4 just to have one that drives. Guys will also swap in a Mazda rotary because those are a whole lot easier to come by and are arguably more reliable. Not arguably, they just are.
Yeah. No, they are. There's many 12As and
They are.
13Bs non-turbo versions with 100,000 miles on them.
They are. The problem, like I said, finding one. They were imported over here, but of those 40,000, maybe 2 or 3,000 came over here. And, you know, American mechanics especially were like not they were used to American engines, which are like, you know, they'll file the points and put some plugs in it and it'll be fine. And, you know,
How much do those plugs cost?
just gap the old ones and throw them back in there. Anyway,
Hit them with the wire wheel.
there were no motorsports for these.
No kidding.
Yeah, the Spider ran some rallies.
Yeah.
But they were just a awkward, delicate little car that they didn't sell very many of them. So yeah. Anyway, so having heard all that,
Well, let's talk a little bit about this. I'm intrigued. Let's suppose about things that we probably don't even know. This vacuum operated clutch also in concert with a torque converter. So you push on the lever and it actuates a vacuum solenoid. I don't know. A vacuum
it's a solenoid that pushes
signal.
or servo that pushes the clutch arm and disengages it. And the torque
Are rotary engines known for making enough vacuum for this kind of thing? Apparently it worked.
You don't need that much.
Yeah, okay.
It was kind of well suited to the rotary because it had what people referred to as snatch, their word, not mine, on the overrun, which basically meant that when you'd let off, it would take a while to wind down. But
Okay.
the torque converter
would be
was
generating vacuum.
well, it's not the vacuum. The torque converter would do a good job of smoothing that out.
Okay.
That was the one issue. The other issue is torque multiplication. You know, as the converter is spooling up, so to speak, it does give you more torque and help you get off the line, which is helpful. This was a reasonably heavy car that only made 130 pound-feet of torque at 4,000 RPM. So it was helpful to get it moving.
That's interesting that the complaints are about reliability of the engine and not, I can't drive this thing because of the way the clutch works.
The transmission was fine. Porsche used it if you bought an automatic 911.
Okay.
Well, they didn't have an automatic 911. They had, what did they call it?
Stick or something.
Sportomatic. And I think it might be the same thing that Volkswagen used in the automatic stick shift cars.
I've never looked into what that is.
I think those were no torque converter. I think they were just the clutchless manual, essentially, or the automatic clutch manual. So, yeah.
Still vacuum operated, though?
Still vacuum operated, I believe, because they didn't have a clutch pedal either. I think it was you'd move the gear stick and the micro switch would then hit the servo and the servo would pull the clutch. Any VW person I've ever talked to said they hated driving those. My dad had one that was a parts car and he took special glee in ripping it apart so it would never have to be driven again.
Yeah, I'm just curious how that might work. That's interesting. I might have to look into that a little bit more.
Porsche called it the Sportomatic. But it was a Fichtel and Sachs was the company. It was a German company that built the transmission. NSU called it Saxomatic. I'm not sure why.
S-A-C-H-S?
Saxomatic.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was just thinking of the clutch brand.
Right.
Socks.
Or the moped.
Same company, I believe.
Yeah?
Yeah. Or same conglomerate. I don't know.
Interesting.
Yeah. So that's what I know. I've always dug them. I mean, they're weird as hell, but it intrigues me.
Yeah, very, the styling of it, and for the listeners, take a look at one. I don't know, if you showed that to me and asked me what it was, I would have probably guessed Jensen. That's what jumps to mind after talking about the Jensen Interceptor and remembering seeing some of those.
Maybe said Renault.
Yeah, it's very continental.
Yeah.
You know, it's like it's from somewhere in Europe, probably not England, but yeah, is how I would see it.
Yeah, I definitely think I would not have guessed German. It's a bit
French.
It's a bit
French looking.
swoopier than that.
Yeah.
Softer styling cues.
Good point.
Yeah, it's really neat, but it's also terrifying in so many ways. Like, you take what is still a problematic engine design that a large, well-established Japanese company cannot figure out, and you go back 50 some odd years and attach it to one of the strangest transmissions that we've ever talked about. Yeah, it's just wild.
What could possibly go
and then
wrong?
you jam a torque converter in the middle of it for reasons. Like,
It worked.
it does work.
Well, the transmission
wild.
was not the problem.
Yes.
No,
Yeah.
But
you were
yeah.
definitely right. That is
How to make this transmission look good? Put it behind
Put a rotary in front of
a
it.
Wankle.
Yeah. Well, that was the thing. They didn't know what they didn't know.
yeah.
I mean, this was the third application of it.
Well-
and probably the first mass market. They sold 7,000 or 8,000 a year for the first few years.
Mm-hmm.
So that was probably, I don't know what the initial Cosmo sold, but not very many.
No.
And, they sold 2,500 of the Spider, which if you were buying that, you were like, East Wankelingen, yeah? It's like, you don't know what you're getting. You're like, I'm buying this just to be weird.
Well, yeah, that was like a single rotor rear wheel
Right.
drive. It was a sports car. Nobody
It was.
was trying to drive across town every day in it.
This was supposed to be a reliable family vehicle. And really, but for the metallurgy, again, they didn't know what they didn't know. And now they do. And they
Excessive
figured it
carbon.
out to a point.
Yeah.
By like 72, they had the Achilles heels kind of ironed out. But by
Yeah.
that point, nobody wanted one because they just had the rep,
So, speaking of nobody wanted one then, I think you were leading into this earlier, Alan, but I kind of sidetracked for a minute.
You're fine. I would absolutely buy one if I found one. Like, this is the kind of thing that if, like, I happened across one, I'd be like, I'll do that. And I know you think I'm full of shit, and I don't care.
It's a great case for you to be full of shit. It doesn't matter because you're not going to have the opportunity, right?
So it's like Schrödinger's car.
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
Will I buy it? Will I not? It doesn't matter. It doesn't exist.
And you're like, you suckers go out and try to
Yeah.
goad me into buying one.
Find
of
me
these.
a row 80, people. Again, I'll put out my whole 800 miles. I'm not even gonna try to drive this home.
No.
I'll pay more for this than I would a Saturn, but
But you're way more likely to come home with. My mind is blanking on the striking car.
the Citroen.
Studebaker.
Oh, the
no,
Avanti.
The Avanti.
Yeah.
Yes, you're way more likely to come home with an Avanti, right?
Still waiting for that guy in Kansas City to get off his high horse and start asking, 5 instead of the 9 he wants for it.
For his no title.
Yeah, that's like,
Avanti.
it sold at Mecum. Really? Because it had a title then. What happened to it?
Yeah. Okay. So I defended you on my trip last week. We drove past the entry shack to our Army Corps of Engineers or National Forestry Service campground, and the person taking care of it had a wrecked PT Cruiser and a Land Rover, like a Discovery 4 or 5, or it was like an early 2000s Land
Yeah.
Rover that are notorious.
Right.
And I think it was Dan said, "Oh, look, Alan's yard." And I said, "He's not that stupid."
I wouldn't buy a Land Rover.
But then you just said you would spend $5,500 on this weird NSU.
On a running one.
Yeah, that doesn't exist.
Bring a Trailer has sold one.
Uh-huh.
It was near Concours. It sold for 20.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
wild.
These are the kind of challenges we need for listener engagement. We're going to get a couple.
Oh, they'll look. They won't find. That's the thing.
Well,
Like-
okay, so we talk about Haggerty a lot,
Mm-hmm.
and I think their prices sometimes are what we all think are probably accurate, but finding a seller who actually
Mm-hmm. Right.
agrees with
That's
them.
the issue with anything low production.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we'll look at stuff and be like, oh, that's such and such. A Concourse level 1's $45,000. That seems really reasonable.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go look online, and every single one of them is asking $60,000 to $80,000 for whatever it is.
The thing you get into with that, too, the flip side of that is if it's something common or at least something that was produced. You know, if it's something where there's 10,000 of them out there,
Yeah.
you can be like, all right, this guy's off his nut. I'll find another one. But with the rare stuff, it's like, I may not see another one. I don't know when I will. I have never seen one for sale in America. I'll put it that way. The Bring a Trailer auction I found was from like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So these are, yeah, if you really want one, you go buy one in England or Germany and ship it over.
Yeah.
Which, as relatively inexpensive as that can be, might be the way to go. There's just so many more to do it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do it, but
Yeah.
people could.
Yeah.
Right.
The $5,000 to $8,000 to make that happen is probably the right call.
I don't think it's 5 to 8.
Like for
I mean, if
arranging
by the time
shipping
you
and import fees and all that
you
stuff.
get it over here and then you truck it here,
Yeah.
you probably pay 5 to 8. But
Well,
yeah.
like I've read about people who do the Japanese import thing, and their bare minimum is $4,000 to get it to their location.
See, I see guys. How does old boy in Arkansas then sell all these K cars for $5,000?
Some of it is at a loss, but also a lot of those things. You know, I've watched some of those auctions, and they'll go for like $600.
They'll go stupid cheap, yeah.
So
And the secret is you have somebody over there who buys enough to fill a shipping container.
Yeah.
Which is 4 K cars in a shipping container pretty easily, and then you ship them over like that.
well, and I'm looking at people who are buying one, so
Yeah.
it's $4,000 for that, or probably like
and that's hiring a company that is taking a profit to do it. If
Yeah.
you have a person in Japan who is like, or
You
a
pay them
lawyer who will do
directly,
the import duties. Yeah.
yeah. So you might be able to get that down to 2.5 or 3 as
Yeah.
a business if you're doing quantity.
At one point, that was what I wanted to do, was to open up like a, not even JDM, but importing
Yeah,
stuff from,
I think there's a lot of cool European stuff
There
that would
is.
come in, but people aren't focused on that.
Not
It
as much.
It doesn't have the weird appeal that a lot of the Japanese stuff does.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like you go to Germany, you find one of these that's in reasonably good condition, you pay $14,000 for it. You get it into the country for under 20, and you get something that's at least as nice as the one you found on Bring a Trailer.
I suppose.
Probably.
That one had been restored. Like it was legit nice.
Yeah. And I bet the owner of that car was sad when no reserve sale and $20,000.
I didn't look too deep into that. It felt like it would be the kind of thing that would be like an estate sale, or I just don't drive this anymore kind of thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. Some weirdo with more money than sense.
That sounds like the kind of person who would be interested in acquiring one of these in
Yeah.
I'm going to restore it and use it sort of manner.
Yeah. I can relate, except for the
money part?
I don't have any money or sense.
Lacking both qualities. How about you, Jordan? Is this something you would buy?
Absolutely not. It is neat, but no. Like, I need some sort of parts availability. It doesn't need to be good. I'm happy to search for things,
Right.
but no, like a Honda S600, like the motorcycle driven mini convertible from the 60s and 70s is 4 times as more common in this country. That's nuts because I've never seen one.
Yeah,
of those.
right.
And it would be similar money. Not that they're comparable vehicles, but that was my first thought when he started talking about numbers on these. And
right.
I just, no, I can't imagine trying to keep something like this in any sort of usable shape. You'd be terrified. Somebody throws a rock and you crack a headlight.
Yep,
All right, well, we're done.
Yep. It's totaled.
Yeah. Just, no.
Facebook Marketplace doesn't even know what to look for. It's like, are you talking about a chainsaw, or maybe you want this computer controlled CNC mill? Or I'm like, I mean, I like all of these things, but you're just trying to buy time as I scroll down. Ooh, a drum kit. Yeah, it does not know. No. It's like, did you have a stroke? Are you okay? Do you smell toast?
It's trying to ADD you into something else.
It's a winning strategy most of the time.
That
Ooh, shiny.
Facebook Marketplace algorithm it's real good at that. That's damn it, no, I don't want to click on that. I searched for something else and I need to
And there's a Land Rover Defender 110. Yep.
scroll. Success.
Yeah. What are your thoughts, Alex?
On what?
Oh, okay, good.
Like some sort of Chrysler product, right?
Yeah, this is as if we look at all of the companies that were operating in Germany at this time period, this is German Chrysler.
Yeah.
NSU.
Yeah.
Actually,
No,
it's actually German
even
AMC.
if it wasn't rare, I don't think I'd have any interest in it, and it doesn't matter because we're not gonna, as we can tell,
Yeah.
we're gonna get squirreled or sidetracked away by searching for other. When we're searching for one of these, we'll find something else we like more.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, so of the same-ish time period, you've got some really neat early BMW stuff. Because the Bavaria was out in the late 60s, wasn't it?
This would have been with like the new class, like the 1600 and the 1800.
Yeah.
And I don't think BMW had the Bavaria out until like 70 or 71.
Okay.
I think that was the original 5 or
It's about the same time period.
similar, yeah.
Yeah. Like,
But that was what
is
would
it?
be competing with
Yeah,
it.
what is effectively the same class. That or the Mercedes equivalent would totally be more appealing.
This makes going out and finding an AMX seem achievable
Oh, yeah.
and way
Absolutely.
more fun.
And probably about the same expense. Just the
Yeah.
pain of maintaining an AMX has got to be way less.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
So,
Seems like a great idea.
yeah, no. This is a hard pass for me. It's neat. At
All right.
a far distance.
But now we have a challenge. We've got to find one of these for Alan to find an excuse not to buy.
Running, driving, $5,000, 800 miles. You heard me.
Good luck.
Sell me yours.
Running and driving. Will you accept one that has the Ford V4 in it?
I would accept a Mazda swap.
Yes.
I would probably prefer a Mazda swap.
Yeah. Well, and considering how difficult I know it is to get parts for 12A, which is really common, good grief. Oh, no. It's like everything's custom. Like, oh, you need Apex seals? Yeah, there's one guy in Germany that still makes them.
Oh,
and they're
really?
$1,800. No, I don't know. I'm just ballparking.
Oh, you're saying for the NSU?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought for the 12A that like seals and oil control rings and bearings and stuff are relatively easy to come by for the rotary still. But it's been a while since I've looked.
I think all that stuff is starting to dry
Oh
up.
wow. Okay.
Yeah, because no, 12A stuff I think is getting hard to maintain.
How cool would this be with a Renesis though?
For yes, it would be because by the standards of this vehicle, it
That's
would
an
be
easy swap.
highly reliable. And 240 horsepower, which would be insane through the front end of a 1967 anything.
Yep.
Yep. Anyway, yeah.
That it?
Good choice. Weird car.
I went as broad based as possible for my last one, and now I'm just I'm just gonna cycle back and forth between like the car of the people and the car of one person.
So next week,
Yeah.
the Jelly Bean Taurus.
We already did that.
Oh, we did do the Jelly Bean
You
Taurus?
did that.
The SHO.
No, that's not the Jelly Bean Taurus.
Yeah, it was.
That's the 95 to 98. and
Oh, you mean
99.
the oval Taurus?
Yeah.
Yeah, the oval.
The one where every surface looks like a jelly bean.
Yeah.
No, we don't need to do that. That car
wanna
is
do
so boring.
car is so boring and somehow offensively ugly at the same time.
Yeah.
It's like they melted a better car. It's just like they just left it in the oven a little too long and
Well,
it
like-
sagged a bit.
And the Gen 1 and Gen 2 Tauri were pretty decent looking.
They were.
And then
Not a Kiosk Alex, but yeah.
Well, I don't know. Automotive styling is just so weird sometimes.
Yeah. I found that I always enjoy whatever the new model is now. It's going to be about 15 years before I'm like, okay, I kind of like that better than the new ones.
Yeah. And that's not to say that styling keeps getting worse. It's just that your taste runs a little behind the times.
I guess, yeah. Or maybe I like things that stand out as a little bit dated. Yeah, I think so.
Worn in, like an old baseball glove.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, just even the styling being dated. Like, I can't even pick out a new Subaru in traffic, but I see a 90s Subaru. I'm like, all right, I like that. That's not old in my mind.
Yes.
That's not an old car.
That's the thing. It's like
I know.
Yeah,
I
it's
know.
like the youngest '90s car is 25 years old
I
now.
know.
The youngest '90s car. All '90s cars are eligible for historic tags.
Yes.
I'm
I'm-
saying this because I'm only hearing it and realizing it as I'm saying it, and I'm real sad.
Yeah, I'm excited because it means I can buy. Well,
Yeah.
I don't want that. I don't want much newer than that. That's for sure.
Yeah, you can
but-
get a 1999 New Edge Cobra and put historic plates on it.
I suppose I could do that.
Yeah.
He won't.
I'm not gonna spend that kind of money on a Mustang.
That wasn't
That's
wasn't
your
throwing
deal.
shade. I'm like, but you won't. But yeah.
That,
I get it.
speaking of styling, though, that has, I really dislike the SN95 and New Edge Mustangs throughout most of my childhood. You know, seeing them coming out and whatever, and they've swung back around on me. So
Yeah.
I get what you
That's-
mean.
Yeah, that's
It,
very
for
much
me,
like what
I
would
don't.
say.
I don't know what. It's always been the thing that whenever I see a New Edge Mustang, I immediately look at the wheels, and if it's the goofy, like weird 3-spoke V6 car, I'm like pass.
Yeah.
Or even like the ugly chunky 5-spoke V6 car, pass. But if it's like, oh, those are bullets wheels, there's a V8, I'm like, hello. It's not good looking, but it's like, well, you know.
I mean, they also you could get the tri bars on I think the 90s.
On the
I don't
SN95s, you can.
Yeah, and those
there's
were
a
GT
tri-bar
wheels.
GT wheel, yeah.
But then they had the weird triangle version that was a 15, I think, for
Yeah.
the V6 car. Yeah. Having owned a V6 Mercury Cougar with the 3.8 pushrod engine, no.
Yeah, that's the
No,
correct response.
not
There's
interested.
there's no redeeming quality there except
No,
for
there
rear-wheel
really is
drive.
not.
And that's not enough, Alex. I don't care what you say.
In that case, I agree with you. Yes, that's.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening. Be sure to send us a message. Let us know what's going on with you. Give us some project updates, suggestions for future topics, whatever. And until we talk to you next time, stay fresh, cheese bags. I'm Max P. Dingrods, and I approve this message.
No, I'm Max P. Dingrods, and I approve this message. 2 dingrods enter. Only 1 dingrod leaves.